Okay, why don't we get started? And I'm going to be recording this session. So today is the 3rd of August, and I'm going to take you through some trades that we have called ahead of time. And also I want to take you through some trades that's potentially going to happen maybe this week or early next week. So the pair that I would like to start off with is the Aussie CAD pair. Now, if you are a subscriber to our service, you would have gotten an alert saying that we sold this at around 99.45, and we can finally see that this guy is starting to move down. But I want you guys to get a sense of why we wanted to take this trade. And despite it being very slow to move, we wanted to hold on to this due to a few things. First of all, there was a harmonic pattern. But more than that, what we like to do is really to analyze the structure. Now, this is what I do with my charts personally. I try to mark out the highs and lows of a particular pair. And I also like to draw boxes to tell me what were the last week's high and low. So when I look at the daily chart, what I see is that there are a couple of rejection bars here, 99.70. So that tells me that, okay, the next time this guy comes up here, there is going to be some sort of a reaction. And sure enough, we saw this last week. We unfortunately could not get into this trade quickly enough because this happened maybe towards the middle of the night. But then we thought, okay, and I'll go down to the H4 chart. And what we saw was that if there was another pattern that actually formulated somewhere here, that we would be looking to sell this pair. And what pattern was that? It was a Gartley pattern. It wasn't the cleanest of patterns because of this long spike yesterday for the Aussie rate cut, which was quite interesting. It was really volatile. But what we felt was that the harmonic pattern comes in at around 99.53. So there was a Gartley pattern to sell this pair. Now we kind of were waiting for this to get hit, but it didn't quite happen. So we kind of preempted it by putting it at 99.45. It filled us, and then it went and touched the top, and now we can see that it's coming back down. Now where this will go, I'm not sure, but I don't know. Just looking at the overall picture, we are kind of seeing some major reversal signs here. So you could see that, okay, it went up, got resisted once, came back down, gone up. There was a couple of pin bars, and yesterday's bar was very, very strong. But now you're seeing that there is going to be some sort of a rejection here. If this week closes, let's say somewhere around here, I would be inclined to hold this for a long time. Now we've left our targets opened. What I'm looking for is really this trend line. This trend line has been intact from about the 15th of June. So for 6 weeks, this pair has been in an uptrend. So if this trend line can be broken, I would say that we can expect quite a bit of downside here. And you can't rule out this guy moving maybe. Well, let's look for the next logical structure, which could be somewhere around here maybe. Okay, so that's about 200 pips. If it really moves lower than that, then we're talking about 400 pips. So I don't know. I just feel that if you look at all the Aussie pairs, it's kind of overbought at this point of time. So I'm hopeful that this guy would continue to drop. The Canadian dollar has been very, very weak, and it is due for a correction. But of course, at this point of time, I don't think we're going to switch this to break even, because this may, I hope it doesn't, but if it really wants to annoy us, it might just go back up, touch here again, and start coming back down. So fingers crossed, this might be a good ride for us. But you never know what will happen. So we'll definitely keep a close eye on this. Okay, I wanted to show something I picked up on Formation Seeker, and this was just as I looked at my charts a couple of hours back, and then what I saw was that there was a bearish shark coming up, and the definition of a bearish shark is very similar to seeing a downtrend, some sort of a downward movement here, hitting a Fibonacci level, and then we look to take the trade at around the 886 level. So what made me call this trade this evening? So if I'm to go to my Facebook, you'd see that I call this ahead of time, and this is how we generally like to trade. We call our trades ahead of time instead of saying that, oh, okay, we took this trade, because I think it's very easy for people to do things in hindsight. But for us, so I posted it somewhere around here that I was looking to enter it around the 1.86 level. Now let's try to analyze this and give you guys a bit of insight as to why this made sense for me. Okay, the first thing was that I was observing this on 3 different time frames, so M15, M30. So let's look at the M30. And of course, if you guys are not familiar, this software is called Formation Seeker. It's a software created by Scott Carney, and it's really Scott Carney in a software. So what we're looking for is that when we want to take a trade, we need a couple of criteria to be complete. The first one is that it needs to go into, of course, the pattern has to complete, and at the point that the pattern is completing, you need to see if you're selling it, the HSI, which is a proprietary indicator, it needs to be above this 886, and then we need to start to see it turn down. So you might not be able to see this, but this is the trigger bar, which is at 93. So if you look at the screen over here, you would see that, okay, 93, the next one is 100, so it's continuing to go up, 105, so there's no signal, and then it drops to 95. So that means this pair is beginning to lose strength, and that's where I decided, okay, this would be a good time to go in, and I've taken a shot. I've switched it to break even because it moved down quite a bit, well, almost 60-70 pips, and now it's rebounding upwards. So how do I monitor this trade? What I'm going to do is I would go here and try to draw a 45-degree line here, and this, as soon as it breaks above this 45-degree line, which it's almost getting ready to do so, I'm going to close this trade. But I don't know, I have to wait for maybe another couple of, maybe an hour. So either this guy could continue to drop or it could go back up. So anyway, I've switched this to break even because I got in at around exactly the round number. And that's the other good thing about harmonics, is that if you see a trade coming in at a round number and a harmonic pattern there, that's an additional confirmation that you could potentially take this trade, because it gives you that additional confirmation. So this was a pretty decent call. It still hasn't moved much, maybe about 25 pips, so no big deal at this point of time. But let's keep an eye on this and see what happens. Okay, so let me see what else I can cover for you. All right, we are looking at dollar yen. Now, as you know, dollar yen has been suffering quite a bit. It's been hitting the low side. We might be seeing some recovery at that 100 level. So let's try to analyze this without harmonics. And you would see that, okay, you have a pin bar created here. It's created a higher low, and now we see it approaching this low again. So we might be in for a potential reversal to the upside. So if you look at it on a weekly chart, well, it's been quite ugly. So the dollar yen has been falling and falling and falling, but we may have a potential level here that where it's we may see some movement to the upside. So what am I looking at is something what we call a bat pattern. So the bat pattern, I'm going to draw it from the lowest point to the highest point here, and then we look for a turning point that is close to fib 5. So it needs to be between 0.38 to 0.5. So you could see that it's somewhere around here, and then we draw this from, we call this point X, A, B, C, D, and we are beginning to see some confluence at around that 100.84. And the final thing is to draw the Fibonacci expansion. Okay, so once I put this in, let's see what happens. And you would see that this level is like really tight in terms of confluence. So which means this zone is where we are looking to go long. Now you might ask, how come we haven't entered it yet? Because it's been in a massive kind of a downturn. We're waiting for some sort of consolidation here, and once we see this consolidation happening, it could be next week that we would look to go long on this pair, because it is going to be a big stop loss and a big potential target. So if I'm going to measure our first target, it's going to be, well, it's going to be about 300 pips by the looks of it. 263, 250 odd pips. So given the fact that this guy has been in a sharp downtrend, and we are also looking at this line, the 100 line, so I would say that we're going to wait. We may even see that during the NFP that this guy might come down, flush out these lows, touch it once, and then start moving up again. But overall, I'm very interested in buying this pair. But at this point of time, there isn't a credible signal to say that this guy is really moving up. So for the moment, it is observation, but you could see that, okay, this is a good trade in the making. So let's be patient with this. Okay, so that's for dollar yen. I also marked out a trade on pound Aussie. Now you could see that, okay, pound NZD, we've shorted it, and okay, it's dropping. So you may think, okay, if I'm already short on pound NZD, what can I do with pound Aussie? So you've got to really, some people feel that, okay, the Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar could be the same thing, but it actually moves quite differently. So when you look over here, what I see is a potential Gartley pattern. So very nice, we're drawing it from the high of the previous week, and you would see that, okay, this line, it doesn't touch the 786, which is good, because if it touches the 786, then it is a butterfly. But you would see that, okay, there is some level of confluence, although it's not very pretty. But let's just try to pull this out and see where this guy lines up. So quite nice. It seems to line up around this zone here, around the 176.40 odd level. So we could expect the Aussie, the pound to strengthen against the Aussie dollar by about 60 odd pips, and then we could potentially see a short. But of course, I want to see that the the RSI ticking up. At the moment, it seems to be, well, not quite there. So we definitely need this guy to keep going up, really touch this level with the RSI going into that overbought scenario, and then we might have an opportunity to short this. So this is another good pair to watch out for. Keep that in mind. The zone we're looking for is around that 176.50 zone. All right, so let's see, what else do I have for you? Euro NZD. Okay, let's take a look at what's happening here. So it looks like we are doing a lot of cross pairs today, which is fine, because Harmonics essentially works on absolutely everything. So once again, we are looking at somewhere around the high of the previous week, which is here. But I like this level here, because you see one pin bar here and another pin bar here. So this is a place where you can draw a pattern, and you can see that there is a back pattern here. Point C doesn't quite touch the bottom, but that's fine. What we're doing is let's draw this up, and then you would see that okay, we have quite a nice confluence. Remember, for a back pattern it should be at 886. So I'm going to draw the Fibonacci expansion, and quite nice. We have a zone somewhere around here to short. Still a long way to go. It's well, about another 100 pips. Yeah, in about 100 pips we should have an opportunity to short Euro NZD on a bad pattern. Okay, so this is what I have on the radar for the moment, but I'll be very happy to analyze any pairs that you would like to look into. So maybe you can just type it in the chat window and I can pick it up from there. So you could see that this trend line really helps for us to understand whether we should stay in this trade or not. So any break above this within the next 1 hour, we've got to close it. If it continues to go down, well and good. It's an opportunity and an indication to keep holding on the trade. Okay, any questions, comments, thoughts? Any pair that you want to be analyzed? Okay, let me just look through to see if there are any other potential trades coming up. Okay, NZDUSD. Thank you, Lyle. So what do I see over here? At this point of time, absolutely nothing. I don't see a trade for us at this point of time. What I did see earlier was an opportunity to short somewhere around here, but I did not take it, which might have been a good thing too. What would I be looking for? Okay, so let's just take a look at what this guy has been doing. It's been going up. There's been a kind of like a double top here if you look at it on a daily time frame. Okay, and then there is a smaller high or a lower high being created. I would be saying that we might be in for a reversal at this point of time. I won't do anything until the end of this week, but guys, what you can see is that here there is a shoulder. Here is another head, not another head, a head being formed. If this can create something like this, okay, for us to short somewhere around that 72.30, I would be very, very interested. But as I said, we need to wait for next week, because I'm not convinced, and neither should you be convinced, that this high is valid, because if it's within this week, I don't like that. So let's wait for next week, which means you have to be patient. So maybe we'll see this guy go up, come back down, make a nice harmonic pattern, and then if I can short it at structure, that would be brilliant. And it's very similar to the game we played with AUDCAD. We saw this structure here, 1, 2, and we said, okay, if there is another opportunity to short it, we are going to be very interested at this level. So that's where we are with that pair. Okay, that was a good question. Anything else? All right, I want to share with you one other trading method that we've been looking into, and that is really the pound. It's something around what we call a box theory, and it's something we are going to introduce within the next 2 weeks to our clients. It really revolves around trading at a weekly high or a weekly low. Now earlier this week I was analyzing this pair, and I knew that this market was going to go up from here. and sure enough it shot up almost about 340 pips, and of course now there is a pattern to short this down, which is quite good. So you can potentially play the market in both ways. Now this has nothing to do with harmonics. This is something that I've picked up really by observing the markets and looking at RSI at these critical levels, and we're going to call this the HFX box theory, and it's something that we are going to introduce during our practical technical analysis class. So I just want to, and I'm just developing the notes for this, which is going to be our box theory. And I just want to let you guys know that if you are in Singapore, you can attend this class. The class on the 14th is fully taken up. So the next one is on the 27th of August, which is Saturday. And you need to pay $51 for registration, because we want to make sure that you come for the class, because we'll be printing notes, and of course there are some other overheads. But if you attend the class and of course meet the prerequisites, we would be able to give you a rebate of $150 back to you. So essentially you are getting paid to attend a class. So do take note of that, because it's going to introduce something that's absolutely new, and it's going to be very exciting because it's going to add a whole new dimension into your trading. Okay, any questions on this? All right, I'll be happy to take maybe one last pair. Okay, so if there isn't anything further, I hope this session has been beneficial. I've covered off about 3 or 4 potential trades, and of course reflected upon a trade that I just posted out. So wish you guys all the best for the rest of the trading week, and we will catch you again in 2 weeks time. Have a good day. See you then.